How are you all doing? So we're doing chapter number 13 and it is the last class, I think. Yeah. So we'll be finishing the meetings chapter today. And I hope that because we had enough of time between our last class and this one, I hope that you did go through the study material and probably the lecture too. And if there's any problem, you can ask me now in case you have any kind of query that you want me to explain it again to you about meetings, anything. So we'll take up that first, and if everything is okay, then we'll move forward and we'll start with today's lecture. I'll just wait for people to join in so that they don't miss the class. Today we will be starting with minutes of the meeting. What is it? It's a very important part of the meetings. And why do we need to even prepare minutes? And what all goes into prepare the minutes of the meeting? What is the format and why we do it? What are the steps? We will be discussing all of that today. Should we start? I believe. Okay, quite a lot of you have joined. So there's no problem. Can we just proceed further? Nobody has no issues. Okay. So let's start with the minutes of the meeting. Now, what does the minutes mean? The word minutes. Minutes is basically the informally notes that you make, the instant written record of the meeting that you make. That is a minutes of the meeting. I repeat myself. So when there's a meeting going on, there is one person who's noting down quickly that what all is being discussed and who said what, who are all are there, and what is the day today and what is the date today. So basically, there's one person who's maintaining a written record of a meeting, that was what is the agenda and what all has been discussed and what has been outcome of the meeting, whatever has been discussed in that room and between the people who are attendees who are attending the meeting. Everything is written and it's kind of an informal notes. There's nothing formal about it. Nobody has to sign and all of that, but it's an informal. So that is a record of what happened, and people don't miss out on any information. Probably so this might happen that 6 people are attending a meeting. One person basically forgets few major points after the meeting and says that this was never discussed. So minutes of the meeting basically helps to keep everybody on record and everybody on the same page. So everybody knows that what all has happened in the meeting and what all was discussed, what was decided, and all of that. Now, this typically describes the events of the meeting. In the sequence, it is written that what all has been done. Events means what all being discussed and decided. It also includes the list of attendees or participants. Of course, that is so important. I mean, later on, somebody might say that I was not in part of a meeting, or I don't know what happened in the meeting. So there's a list, and of course, people know that this was discussed amongst these people, and this is how these things were taken further. Then there is statement of issues considered by the participants, and then related responses and decisions. Am I clear? Am I clear with a basic understanding of what minutes of the meetings are? Whenever there are, the major meetings, normally in every organization, whenever there's a meeting between, management or, management and, at different hierarchy level also, meetings are generally recorded in the form of minutes of the meeting, right? Am I clear? Are we clear about what minutes of the meeting are? Then we proceed further with that. Why do we even need it? Dimple, I've not taught anything yet. I've just started. With the definition of minutes of the meeting. Okay, Ritu, minutes is basically the informally notes that you note down about a meeting. During a meeting, you basically informally start recording, quickly writing down what all has been discussed, who all are the participants, who said what. And, so basically, imagine there is Mr. A, B, and C sitting for the meeting, and they're supposed to discuss the progress of the project, right? So that is the agenda now. Now, Mr. A might have his own concerns, Mr. B might have his own concerns, and C would have his own concerns, and vice versa. They will also have the solutions also to each other's problems. So when they are discussing the issues and finding out the resolutions for that, all of that is being recorded in the form of, informal notes. Am I clear? Why we're calling it formal? It doesn't become a legal notes, and it doesn't become like an official thing. They are not part of the official papers, right? This is within the organization. This is for the people who attend the meeting. This is just for them to keep everyone together on the same page, right? Maybe four people are sitting for the meeting. One person gets distracted and miss out on the few points that were discussed in the meeting, and later this person says that I don't know if this was even discussed in the meeting or not. So minutes of the meeting basically helps that everybody knows what happened. Okay. And everybody agrees to it, basically, of course. Am I clear? No, Ritu, it's not exactly rough notes also. It's not like you're scribbling something on the paper. No. There is a format also. I mean, there's a way of writing it. Okay, Mr. God, I will be a little slow. So no, it is not exactly like you're scribbling on a piece of paper. No, basically you list down everything, the dates, the time, the number of people who are attending, names of them. Then you write down the date, day, and of course towards the end, maybe probably you can mention that when is the next date decided for the meeting. All the information will be added in that. So it is not like scribbling per se. Okay, because it might happen that people might, the ones who are attending the meeting, they might refer to the minutes of the meeting, that what all was discussed, so that they know that they did not miss out onto anything that was decided in that meeting. So you can go back and refer to those meetings, that okay, I've done this, I've done this, okay, this is let's do it. Am I clear? Any problems now? I think, Rasmi, yes, it can be referred by people who were not part of the meeting, but they are kind of people who will be, implementing the decisions taken up. So they might, as per their boss's convenience, as per their team members' convenience, they can. There is nothing to hide in this minutes of the meeting. Okay, are we clear with till here? Let's discuss about now. Why do we even need it? What is our need to basically to prepare the meetings? Let me share my PPT. Oh no. Okay, these are the points that have been basically picked up from your study material itself. It's just that I put it on the PPT so that it's clear and visible for everyone when I'm explaining it. Now, why do we even need to prepare the minutes of the meeting? One, various participants may have different recollections of the meeting. Now, like I just said, so if there's 6 or 8 people sitting, they might have different things that they will be taking back. At times, and as a person, as a human, you cannot remember everything. You cannot just register everything in one go. Also, there might be a different understanding also of the decision, right? If some decision is taken, probably Mr. A is thinking of something else and C is thinking of something else. So they might be on a different page also in terms of understanding, right? Second is recollection. You cannot register everything, right? 2 minutes of the meeting helps you to basically remind you what all was discussed, and what all things were decided, and what all things were left, that okay, let's do it next time. So basically to recollect or remind you of what all happened in the meeting. Now, diverse interpretations of action plan are possible. Like I just said, that whatever action plans were discussed, everybody might have a different understanding, right? But minutes of the meeting may clear their misunderstandings and just keep them all on one page, that this is what needs to be done, right? When we're discussing about a solution, everybody have their own interpretation of that action plan, that how you should do it, because everybody has their own way of doing it. The main idea is to reach to the goal, but in an organization, you would also discuss that how we can achieve that goal. So that action plan cannot be different for everyone. It has to be one. This is how the team will work together, right? So this is what we'll be doing. Now, important tasks can be forgotten. Like I just said, there are times that you might miss the important tasks that were discussed and that was not taken up. So that also keeps reminding you of what all things you need to do. Now, dates of submission of subject matter, report, action taken, plan might be overlooked. Now, dates of submission, you might forget, okay, about the particular projects. Maybe we have discussed 5 things and we have dates of submission, 5 different dates for that, right? So that is different. Then there is a report and action plan, everything. So dates basically will be clear in everybody's mind if we mention it together. Are we clear? Yes. There is a written record is always available for future reference. If anytime, probably you have one meeting today and you have another meeting 2 months later on. So this will basically help you to, have a record of what was discussed. Now, maybe today we have a meeting. Our next meeting is, 2 months later, right? Nobody can remember. In between, you will have so many meetings. How will somebody remember 2 months before what all did we discuss? So the written record basically helps you. And then after 2 months, you can actually open up the minutes of the meeting last and then start discussion from there. Like, what was discussed, how much, we have done so far, and have we completed the task as per our last discussion or not, right? Now, used as reminders for oneself or others. Of course, this is reminders for you and for the others. You would at least know that what I have to do, what was my what was given to me as a task, what am I supposed to take care of, right? So it is a reminder for you. Can be required for legal reasons. Now, this is not exactly a legal document, but it can be presented if need be. If there is any issue that happens after the meeting, minutes of the meeting can be produced so that it shows that this thing was discussed and this is how we were supposed to do, but it did not happen accordingly, right? Now, also, I forgot that, there's certain meetings that happen, when the investigation is going on for the companies and for, when these companies go for insolvency and all. So whenever there is a meeting happening between creditors, debtors, and I think the resolution professionals, all of that. So minutes of the meetings are basically prepared, and that is supposed to be submitted in the court as well, right? There's some meetings that happen after the court orders. For those meetings, the minutes of the meetings are supposed to be, maintained and, submitted in courts as well, right? It basically just tells that what all was discussed, right? Am I clear? Right. So this is why I said this is not exactly scribbling. Okay, you're not scribbling unnecessary things. You are discussing what is happening, and it has to be written properly, right? You may just want to scribble it during the meeting because everybody is discussing things so fast. But once the meeting is over, you're supposed to basically make it pretty formal. The language has to be proper, the English has to be proper, and then you basically maintain your minutes of the meeting, right? And sometimes what happens is, the management doesn't sit in every meeting. So management needs to know what all of this is happening in the meetings and everything. They can just pick up the minutes of the meeting and they'll know what all was discussed in the meeting. And okay, maybe 6 people were invited for the meeting and one person fell sick and the person couldn't come for the meeting. That person can be given the minutes of the meeting and said that, okay, this all was discussed in the meeting, just go through it. You would know what we need to do next and what was discussed earlier for previous issues. Are we clear? So there's so many benefits of maintaining the minutes of the meeting. Any issues, any problem, anybody would like to ask me something? Yes, Dimple, that's right. Yes, Manisha, almost you write down everything that has been discussed, except the jokes maybe that has been discussed and cracked. Should anybody can be given this task of preparing the minutes of the meeting properly, the assistants and secretaries, or any person, maybe the sometimes juniors as well, freshers, anyone. What is intermediate classes? E point, please repeat. E, D, okay. Uh, Surya, that means that, as a person, you basically recollect few things and some things you might forget after the meeting, right? Everybody will remember different things from the meeting. right? So this is why minutes of the meeting is important, so that everybody remembers and everybody knows what has been discussed. As a human being, when you sit down for 2 3 hours of conversation, you cannot remember everything of that conversation later on, right? And after 2 months, so definitely you cannot, right? So this is why the recollection is different. Somebody told me, D point asked me. D point is that, in when you're discussing the issues and the resolutions, and you're discussing about it, what is the deadline of this task. So you mentioned it in the minutes of the meeting also, na, that this has to be done by this date, this has to be done by this date. It could be any subject matter, it could be any report, it could be any action taken plan, anything, right? So what happens is that, if you do not, sometimes what happens is, if you just discuss it verbally, you might forget it, and these things can, later on, you might, miss out on the task that was supposed to be done on time. So this keeps you basically on the track in terms of dates also. Somebody asked me to repeat G point. Can be required for legal reasons, in terms of if any legal issue happens in the company, and one person says that I did not know about it, so this mistake of one person, and he did a blunder, and this becomes a legal issue. So later on, minutes of meetings can be produced and said that, this was discussed, this was supposed to be done by this time and whatever. So the company can produce that. Second is, in the case of many investigations, in terms of many, whenever these meetings happening, and uh, there's some legal issue also happening in that company, at times they are supposed to basically submit the minutes of the meetings to the court and tell that, this all we've discussed, and this is how we will be, solving the issue, or this is how we will be proceeding further. No, I don't think so. It's a legal document. It can be used for the legal reasons, but it is not exactly a legal document, because we don't make it too official. D have explained. C, important tasks can be forgotten. Now, if you mention things in the minutes of the meeting, you will not forget the important tasks. That's all it means. Written record is always available for future reference. If you have something written, you can always go back, look at it, and remember what all has to be done. Right? So, basically, now I don't know if there's something confusion in this point. This is the most easy point. No, it is not similar. How is note taking and minutes of meeting can be similar? The format is different, the reasons are different, the way of writing is different. It is not, I will show you the minutes of the meeting. It is not that you're simply scribbling, okay, this, no. There has to be properly headings, and then the points that needs to be highlighted. Everything is mentioned. Okay. Anything else? I'm still waiting if there is any doubts. Okay. Now let's discuss about the steps. I'm going to show your study material directly here. Up. Now, what are the steps in writing the minutes? Now, points that needs to be kept in mind while you write it. One is a pre-planning. Now, what do we mean by pre-planning? Pre-planning is essentially taking clear and complete notes of the meeting. You basically need to know that you have to uh, take clear notes and the complete notes. You are, again, I'm repeating myself again. You don't have to scribble just few words and say the keywords of the meeting and then you're done with it. No, there has to be clear and complete thing. You can use a copy of agenda as a guideline to take notes and prepare the meetings. You can also use a similar order and numbering of items as on the agenda of the meeting. Now, whatever the agenda has been discussed, whatever agenda has been circulated to everyone, that why we are conducting this meeting, you should have that in your hand so that you also as a person knows that what all things are going to be discussed in this meeting. So if you have basically the agenda in hand, like for example, they're supposed to discuss like 5 things. Okay. You are basically somebody's PA or secretary and you don't know that because obviously you are not part of that meeting per se, you are not really involved in that project, so you don't know what all they'll be discussing. So you should take up a copy of agenda from someone and say that, at least tell me what all things are going to be there. That will be your guideline. Now you know that these are the 5 things that we'll be discussing. You have already read it, so you have in mind that okay, you would know when they start discussing that, another point or another point of discussion. So you will already have in mind, you will have at least clarity, you will know what they're talking about. Use a similar order on numbering of items as on the agenda. Now you basically can prepare a layout that, this is the thing will be discussed. And underneath that, you start discussing, writing on the minutes of the meeting, right? Use a similar order because everybody most probably will be following the same order of discussion. Note down the names of the people attending the meeting in advance. In advance only, on the top, you're supposed to basically mention who all are attending the meeting. Right? All documents, handouts used or given in the meeting should be filed for future reference and shared with others. Now, whatever documents, basically, the facts and the figures, probably they're discussing about the, profits, a quarterly thing. They're discussing that how did we do, and they're just presenting some documents, presenting some numbers. So you should all have that by the end of the meeting, and you have to attach it with the minutes of the meeting because, of course, when you are discussing that document and handouts, you're supposed to attach it with the minutes of the meeting, also shared with others. Get clear instructions or expectations of your role during the meeting, as well as the detail expected in the minutes. Now, you should know what you are expected of, right? Ask whosoever assigns you this role, that what all am I supposed to mention, what all things that I need to take care of, what are the important points in this meeting that will be discussed, so that you are careful about noting down the things. Okay. Okay. Am I clear? Any doubts still here? Okay, I'm going to stop here and then you ask me if there is any problem. Let me read your comments. If there are no problems, then I'll proceed further. Of course, it will be there. I mean, undoubtedly, there might be a question from this chapter too. This is important. And I think it's going to be 4 or 5 mark question. Everything is clear? Okay. Okay. I'm glad that there is no problem. Okay, so this was about the pre-planning part. So you should know about the agenda. You should have a copy of agenda. You should know that I have to keep an eye on all the documents and handouts that are being, circulated and being shared with each other. And you should always have a clear instruction from your senior that what all am I supposed to note down. So there is a possibility that something important has been discussed and you're not able to catch up with it and you miss out on that, and then the minutes of the meeting becomes futile because that will be useless for everyone, right? It is a very important task. Whomsoever gives you and whosoever gets it is a very important task of writing, because you have to maintain that pace of writing because people speak very fast, right? And you have to maintain that meeting. So if your pre-planning is not done, you won't be able to catch up with the pace of the discussion in the meeting. If you don't know what all things are happening, you'll get lost in the meeting. Am I clear? Are you getting my point here? So these things are very important. Secondly is, and you can't even tell people that, please speak slowly. I'm not able to write. I mean, you cannot interrupt them. You were just sitting in one side and writing all of this. So this is why you need to have a clarity in mind about the meeting. Next comes is record taking at the meeting. Now, understand the type of information you need to record at the meeting. You should have an understanding. Though several organizations have their own structures in place, there are certain points common to all. Now, everybody will have their own way of writing minutes of the meeting, and everybody will have their own priorities and the way to record it. But there's certain things that everybody follows, and there's certain things that you need to write down in your minutes of the meeting. First and foremost is the date and time of the meeting. This is so important. Without a date, again, this minutes of the meeting becomes useless. Names of all the participants present and absent at the meeting. Now, present, of course, who all were there. Absent means who all were invited and did not turn up for the meeting. All right, probably for any reason, maybe they're sick or maybe they had to go on a leave, whatever reasons, or they had to attend another important meeting. Whatever the reasons are, you need to mention the names of the people who are not in the meeting, who were supposed to be there in first place. Now, actions taken as decided in the previous meeting. Now, you have to basically mention that what all actions has been taken as per the last meeting. Then you have to write down about the decisions taken about each agenda item. Now, you have a list of 5 or 6 things that were discussed. They were supposed to be discussed. So basically, you mention what all decisions were taken in every item. The necessary steps taken or will be taken with reference to each issue. Now, then what are the necessary steps taken? And that will be taken in future. Everything right now. Future plan of action, most important. Date and time of the next meeting if decided. Now, if there is a decision that has been taken about that, okay, we can have another meeting after 15 days or 20 days or maybe next week, mention that, right? And the time too, if it is decided. If it is not, then of course you cannot mention it. Are we clear? So these two things are very important, which is pre-planning and the record taking. The next comes is that what are the suggestions for taking notes. Now, how you should write down the notes. Have a formal and structure ready format, like now format and structure. So basically before the meeting only mention the date, time, attendees, not attendees, agenda. Mention these things already. Note down main points to be discussed in pages so that you can simply jot down the details and discussions. Now, you already make the list of agenda, the points that are supposed to be discussed, so that you keep adding on to points underneath them, right? So your main heading should already be there. You won't have to, time that will save your time basically, right? So that you can just mention the details of discussion and decisions under each main or subpoint. Now, leave enough space below each item for your handwritten notes to be printed later. Now, uh, after every heading, leave enough space so that you're not basically, mixing and merging things, points. You should have enough space for writing your points, right? Now, next comes is keep a record of attendees. Ensure that the names of all people attending the meeting are noted. Now, you need to have the list of people who will be attending the meeting. Make sure you have it so it is easy for you to write down, present, absent, and all of that. Mention all the absentees at the meeting. Make notes on all items for discussion or agenda during the meeting to ensure accuracy. Now, you make notes right there. Otherwise, if you tell yourself that, okay, I remember this, and you think that you can write it down later on, then there won't be any accuracy. You will miss something, and you might have a different interpretation of putting it across and a way of putting it across. So you might, miss out on the main idea, and then there will be a problem with accuracy. Ask for clarification if there is ambiguity at any point. Ask for a clarification. Now, in case you have any problem and something is not clear to you, please ask at that moment. You can tell us somebody who's speaking so that you do not write something wrong. Do not try to capture it all, as it is impossible to take down the complete proceedings of the meeting. Now, do not try to write down whatever is being spoken word by word. It is not possible, right? You just need to write down the main point. So you should know that this is a main point that you need to write, like for example, decisions, assignments, actionable points, briefly and clearly and sequentially. So that is more important. Nobody wants to know about who said what word by word. Just you should know that I just need to note down about decisions, assignments, actionable points, maybe the resolutions of the problems, maybe that what all things can be done and what all things have been already done already, and what can we do later on in future course. So mention those points only. Record it. You can also record the meeting on your smartphone, iPad, recording device, etc. Now, of course, we have phones and we have iPads, we have recording devices. You can record it so that later on, if there's any problem, you can actually listen it again and clarify. All participants must know that they are being recorded. Now, of course, if you're recording the conversations, you need to inform everybody, take their consent first. You cannot put a recorder in the room without informing everybody. Recording is useful if you need clarification. So now that recording is not supposed to be circulated to everyone. This is for your clarification, so that if there is any point that you think is not right, you can listen and then clarify. Am I clear? Are we clear till here? Okay, there are certain problems. Wait. I don't know. So somebody said the last point of the last topic, which I don't understand. That what is it to understand in date and time of the next meeting? Uh, okay. Now the first point of this one suggestions of taking notes is that you should have a structure ready on pages. On your pages, you should already be mentioned the headings like date, time, number of participants attending, who are not attending. Sometimes you already know that this person won't be coming for the meeting but was supposed to come for the meeting, right? So you mention the headings already about the things that are will be discussed, right? So if you already mention down the points, it will be easier for you to note down the things quickly underneath the headings. Okay. And of course, that gives you clarity also that, okay, they started discussing this and not. Right. Now, the third point of the step. So the first point was about the points is pre-planning record. Now, next point comes after the step in the steps is the minutes writing process. Now, after the meeting is over, you have to write the minutes, go through the recording. You may decide to add some details and delete some in the written report. So you should, when you're just formalizing the minutes of the meeting after the meeting, you go through the recording. And then if you think that, okay, something needs to be added and some needs to be deleted, recheck with all concerned to ensure that all decisions, resolutions, and motions are correctly noted. Now you can recheck. You are allowed to go and recheck with the people who were in the meeting and who are important in the meeting to ensure that you have mentioned all the decisions, resolutions, motions, and whatever is there, that you have not missed something. Ensure that all required details are noted, especially if the meetings are lengthy, long drawn deliberations have taken place. Now, in a short meeting, people mostly remember what they've discussed. But if the meeting is too long, 5 hours long, 4 hours long, the meeting is just going on and on and on, how much will a person remember? This is where the minutes of the meeting becomes even more important. Even a 2 hours meeting is too much. Notes should be brief and easy to understand. Now you have to do not write an essay. It has to be briefly written and easy to understand. Ensure proper sequence, flow, and grammatical accuracy. Please ensure the sequence, which is so important in the minutes. You cannot write down as per your convenience that you mix the sequence of the discussion in the meeting. The flow of the meeting has to be according to the flow of the minutes has to be according to the meeting, and grammatical accuracy is very important. Do not include any personal conflicts or comments. Now, so there might happen that the meeting is going on and people ended up having argument about something, or they passed on some personal comments on each other that you're not supposed to put in the minutes of the meeting. That is just a conversation happening, right? Your idea is to stick to the agenda, and whatever has been discussed about the agenda, you will write it down. You will not record the personal fights that people are having in the meeting room. Reference material, if any, can be attached in the appendix. Now, whatever uh, separate reference document that was referred, that can be attached with the appendix in the appendix. Now, next comes the distribution or sharing of the minutes of the meeting. Before circulating the minutes of the meeting, get the draft duly approved by competent authority heading the meeting. Now, before you start giving the minutes of the meeting to the people who attended the meeting, you need to get your draft duly approved by the competent authority, the authority or the boss who was heading this meeting, so that you have not done any mistake, you are not circulating anything wrong. You can either send hard copies or share it if the authority is permitted on email. Now, you can, ideally, you're supposed to give the hard copies, but you can share it on email if you have an approval. Because once you put on the email, it becomes all official. Everybody has it, everybody can use it. So minutes of the meetings are basically preferred to be distributed in the hard copies. Filing and storage of minutes of meeting after the final approval. The minutes need to be filed for future reference. The minutes can also be stored online in hard copy. Now, however you want, but you need to basically file it or store it. Are we clear about the process of or the steps of minutes of the meeting? Then we'll start with the minutes of the meeting, how you actually write it. Any problem so far? Let's discuss that first. Yes, that is the one, the tabular form one. Remember, we discussed the agenda in the last class, that how you make the agenda of the meeting and how you inform people. That's exactly what we are talking about here. Yes, you have to follow the same agenda to know that what all things will be discussed, what all topics will be discussed in the meeting. Aditya, I hope it is clear to you now. Appendix is basically a section or a table of reference points that you attach it at the end of the document, basically. Okay. Before we start with the format, I would like to take a break for 5 minutes. But before I go on the break, I have a question for you all. How much do you remember? Let's see. Um, okay, give me any two uh, reasons that why do we need minutes of the meeting, or how does the minutes of the meeting help us? Quickly, give me any 2 points that how do we need, why do we need minutes of the meeting? How does it help us? Okay, I'm finding few answers. Okay, most of you are right. Okay, so it's for future reference to have clarity about the meeting and to know about discussions taken in the meeting. If there's something that you forget what he said and decides, given this is this, can be required for legal reasons. Good. Written record for future reference. Good. For important stars, influent dates of submission. All right, perfect. So, this much you are clear with. Let's go for 5 minutes break and come back and then discuss the format and then we'll do the practice of minutes of the meeting. All right. Okay, let's go. Okay. So now let's start with the format of minutes of the meeting. That's how we actually write down the format. Okay. Here. Okay. Now let's look at the format, basically a structure or the way of noting down could be different, the way, but the content will remain the same. So you have date first, you have the time first. A date is 5th December. Meeting started at 9 a.m. Now, participants present: Mr. Ramesh, Mr. Kamlesh, Ms. Shalini, Mr. Rahman, Mr. Satyan, Mr. X, Y, Z. Right? So these were the people who were present for the meeting. Now we start with, so there was nobody who was absent. So now this is the agenda that has been mentioned. Mr. Ramesh, chairperson, who's the chairperson, gave an introduction. Mr. Kamlesh, product head, spoke about the new product. Ms. Shalini, regional manager business, presented a detailed project report including market surveys, future projections, and challenges. Participants approved and appreciated Ms. Shalini's report. Mr. Rahman, marketing head, discussed the current market scenario, demand and supply, and customer interest. Mr. Satyan, Director Finance, gave details of costing. Finance team led by Mr. XYZ were part of the presentation. The chairperson declared an open house for participants. Conclusion stated: proposal for more funds put forward. Tenders to be released. ATR to be submitted by 12th December. Right? So now it tells about what all things were discussed. Yes, and it talks about that what all needs to be done, which is proposal for more funds to be put forward, tenders to be released, and ATR to be submitted by 12 December. Now, what is ATR? ATR is the action taken report. It is basically a report compiled few days after the meeting, stating various actions taken as per the discussions made. The action taken report is basically a compilation. Just give me. Okay, so taken report is basically a compilation of few days. So basically, it compiles the report that what all actions were decided and has been taken or not, and what was the outcome of it. Right? ATR must always be submitted after a gap of about 5 to 7 days or more about after the meeting. This gives appropriate time for actions to be taken and the matters to be discussed and stated in the form. Now, this is the following is the format of action taken report. Now, as for the meeting held on 5th December at the head office of SV Technologies, following action have been reported. The client had compiled to deliver the goods by 4th December. Work done. The client has asked for more time for installation of 600 kV turbine, and the order has been retained and client's proposal has been accrued to. Now, this is a very small action taken report. This was just discuss it, what all things we will do it in future. Now, are we clear till here? Now we'll practice and you'll have a more clarity of the things. I want you to start doing this now. Okay, let's start with the question number 3. So let's start with the agenda, then we'll discuss about the minutes of the meeting. Okay, no. Let's do the question number 4. Prepare the minutes of the meeting presided by chairman of HKU Private Limited, an FMCG company. The main agenda of the meeting was introducing a new product, fixing the cost, discussing the sales and marketing, the advertising strategies. Now, these 4 are your basically agendas. Okay. Now, you basically have to write down the format, date, time, participants, now the agenda, and then you have to say that who discussed what. Are we clear? And what was the outcome of the meeting? Can you prepare the minutes of the meeting for this question? All right, start. You have to prepare the minutes of the meeting. Remember that you have to start from Okay, let me see what all you guys have been writing. What is principle of accounting, Nikhil? No, compiling doesn't mean translating. Compiling is putting it together. So, uh, I don't see your guys. Okay, good, Mr. Mastan. Good attempt. Very good attempt. Okay, good, Dimple. Meetings in February, meeting starting at 9, participants present, very good. Hmm. Okay. Most of you have got it actually right. I'm glad to see that most of you are doing it right. Ravish, I am not really aware about this. I think you will have to check. About pen and black pen, I think you'll have to check with a concerned person. I am not really aware of what pen you should use in the exam, what is allowed. I really don't know that. So I'm a wrong person to answer that question, as I've never sat for CA exams. Okay. So the chairperson, the product head, the sales head, and the creative director, FMCG, new product. No, Miss Khan Mujahid. Uh, the format is wrong, beta. You have to start with the date, time, attendees, and then you've already mentioned the speakers who are attending and the absentee list, and then you start with the one by the topics of discussion. Now, if you look here, mm, if you look at the answer now, and I'm glad with everybody else's attempt because you've kind of got it what we are supposed to do in the minutes of the meeting. Now, if you look at this, see, now you see the format is a little bit changed here, right? Like we said, that when we were discussing what are the ingredients of minutes of the meeting and what are the things that are included in minutes of the meeting, that remains the same. It can be up and down, right? So you can basically mention that who will be the speakers. Now, this you can mention if you have a speaker list, right? Like, for example, here, look at this example. Now, look at this. Now, if this is the agenda of the meeting, you know that this topic will be spoken by this person. You already have a speaker list. You know that this person will be talking about this topic. It is not that meeting sitting across the tables and then, thinking and brainstorming what will be done and what needs to be done. Now, this meeting has already taken decisions that, this topic will be spoken by this person. So this is sure and short, right? In that case, you can mention about the speaker list first. Then you can talk about date, time, of course, participants who attended. Now you talk about Mr. Ramesh, chairperson gave an introduction. Mr. Kamlesh talk about the new product. Now this is again based on your agenda. Now I'm telling you something else here. You can add the subheadings also. You can add on to the points also. For example, Mr. Ramesh, chairperson gave an introduction. If you feel that Mr. Ramesh has said something that is worthy of noting down in the minutes of the meeting, that is supposed to be done by others, and the person is talking about something that new is going to happen in the organization and by when, announces some date or something, right? Mention that in the sub point, just like we make bullet points, just the way we make notes. Add on. Now we come to Mr. Kamlesh, who was speaking about product head, who's a product head and speaking about a new product. Now you can have some subheadings about what is this new product, right? What will be the pricing, when it will be launched in the market, all of that you can add on to the information, right? Just the main points. Ms. Shalini, who's a regional manager business, presented a detailed project report, a market survey, future projection, challenges. Now, if there is something which is worth noting, you note down, otherwise you let it be. Now, participants approved and appreciated Ms. Shalini's report. Mr. Rahman had discussed the current scenario, demand and supply. Mr. Satyan, director, he gave details of costing. So you can add on this is the costing that has been decided after calculating everything. Now, the chairperson declared an open house for participants to put up their concerns and finally gave a vote of thanks. Conclusion stated, proposal for more funds put forward, tenders to be released, ATR to be submitted by 12th. Now, here comes the ATR of this meeting now. Now, ATR is basically, no, wait, I'm sorry. Did I mix the things? Oh, yeah, it did miss. But yes, the topic remains the same. You can add on to the more points. Okay, if you want to add on underneath this. Now, for example, here, Mr. Raju D, product head, spoke about the new product, its USP, and explained how it was superior to others in the segment available in the market. So you just elaborate it, right? Mrs. Usha, who's the sales head, gave a detailed analysis of costing, overheads, and other miscellaneous expenses to market the product. Now, the peer person spoke about the advertising campaign, also mentioned the cost involved. Now, this is what the main points, so that people do not forget what all were discussed. right? If I tell you that Miss Jenny discussed about the costing, after the meeting, you will remember what she spoke about, right? But if I do not mention it at all, you might miss it, right? Are we clear here? Yes. Okay. Now, again, ATR to be submitted by so and so date. Are we clear till here about the minutes of the meeting? It's very easy. There's nothing, too hard and fast. Unlike, or, unusually, sorry, unlike in the cases of, letter writing and other things where you have to follow the format, where there's more concern about the language, structures, and all of that. Here, it is a little relaxed, but yes, you're supposed to just mention all the points. Are we clear about the minutes of the meeting till here? Any questions, any problems? Now let's talk about the agenda. Look at the question number 5. Okay. Set an agenda for an organization meeting to discuss the effect of COVID-19 on the current sales. Include speakers from sales and marketing, finance and HR, discuss the effects, challenges, and future action plan. So now the agenda has been given in the questions. You just need to make a time plan and who's going to be the speaker and all of that, the tabular form table. So you have to form a table wherein you're discussing the effect of COVID-19 on the current sales. So the speakers will be from sales and marketing team, finance, HR, discuss the effects, challenges, and future action plans, etc. Whatever else you want to add on. Can you do this? Can you do question number 5 from your study material? Good, Aditya. Good attempt. Good, Surya. Rabish, you can call. I'm sure there's a helpline number on ICI's website, or maybe you can write the email from wherever you ask all the queries. Aditya, not really, but it just doesn't need to be very, long. No, Shreya, is not important. It is just up to you, whatever you want to add on. Okay, question number 5, please. Agenda, quickly make. You all have a study material, right? Quickly. Let's see what you guys are doing. Yeah. We discussed in the last class. Surya, you're supposed to draw a table just like this. I'll show you. Just like this, you have to draw a table. Have you guys understood? This is how you're supposed to do it. Basically, you make the agenda. You can put the time, topic, attendees, speaker, and duration. This is what you'll refer during the minutes of the meeting, right? This is what you pick up. And then based on this, you start making the minutes of the meeting. Otherwise, how would you know what all things are going to be there in the meeting? Okay, now let's see who's able to make the agenda. No one so far. How is it possible? It is such an easy question. You just have to make a table hypothetically, write down the date, time. Okay, Dimple has sent me something. Mr. Mustan has sent an introduction to all participants. Mr. Ramji in 10 minutes. 9 10 current sales and previous sales department. Very good. Very well done, Dimple. Good job. Mustan, perfect. Miss Khan, Mujahid. Okay, Mr. Khan, Miss Khan, you need to check the format once again. More or less, it's fine. It's just that it needs to be more refined. Okay, good, Shreya. 9 a.m. introduction, Mr. Very good. Very, very good, Shreya. Well done. Okay, now based on this, you're supposed to write the minutes of the meeting too. Now, first you have agenda in hand. Now it will be easy for you to write down the agenda now of the same thing, same question. Now you have to write the minutes of the meeting for the same agenda. Minutes of the meeting for the same question. Okay, Dimple, I'll explain you that again. Okay, quickly write down the minutes of the meeting, and then we'll quickly discuss the action taken report. I'm just waiting for you guys to respond. Ask the same question. You can be asked to write down the agenda based on the question, just what we are doing right now. So, or minutes of the meeting, along with the action taken report, ATR. Both the things can be done. Good, Shreya. Very well done. Minutes of the meeting. Okay, good. Very good, Shreya. You have understood. Very nice. I like your last point. Swati, date, meeting started at 5 p.m. Mr. K from the Analysis Department. Perfect. Good job. Next, girls and boys. Swati, it's a little bit, I think, it's quite brief. You can elaborate a little bit more. I only see 3-4 people answering. Where are the rest of them? I hope it was easy. It's a very easy chapter, though. All right. So there were a few queries that we had. Let me just clear them before the class ends. Okay. Like I always say, go through your study material, go through your mock test paper, revision test papers, previous year's question papers. You have enough of questions to practice. Even if you do this, it's not very difficult to pass this paper. Yeah, ATR. Now, action took. So basically, what happens is once the meeting is done and it's been decided the actions that we will be taking up. So we decide that after a few days, you're supposed to submit an action taken report, which basically compiles that what all things, actions have been taken place after the meeting, after the things that were discussed in that meeting, what all has been done. So it usually is been submitted after 5-7 days, because obviously you will take 5-7 days to implement the actions that they were thought of and the ideas that were thought of to be implemented. So you will take 5-7 days. So it is usually submitted after that. Now, if you look at it, is just brief note of what all has been done as per the discussion. So you start with, as per the meeting held on 5th December at the head office of SV Technologies, following actions have been reported. The client had compiled to deliver the goods by 4th December. Work done. The client has asked more time for installation of a 600 kV turbine. The order has been retained and client's proposal has been agreed to. So these things have been done so far after the meeting. All of this was decided right then. Are we clear? Then you sign it and then you basically submit it. So this has been submitted by Director Sales and Marketing and Director Business. Are we clear? Yes. Now look at the another one, action taken report. Okay, there is no other example for this. Okay, if you see, it's already been mentioned here. All the above hints and prompts for the questions, students are free to make changes in the content. Now, content can differ. You don't have to mug up the answers given in your study material. Okay, you just have to basically stick to the format and the structure. Are we clear? Are we clear, everyone? Any problem so far? Okay, we have just 5-7 minutes left. Now, in case you have any questions, please ask me now. This is also kind of agenda. This is another format of agenda, which is you decide of things and then presenter's name is given. So in this chapter, we discussed about what is a meeting, right? What are the types of meetings? Then what are things that are required for meetings, which is like participants, agenda, you need to intimate people, you need to appoint a facilitator, arrive at a clear conclusions, create opportunities for creativity, need for agenda. Why do we need the agenda to start a meeting? Then you create an agenda. Then based on this agenda, you prepare the minutes of the meeting, right? People are called for the meeting. And then there's whole thing that why minutes of the meeting are important and how maybe you are not given the responsibility of making minutes of the meeting. Maybe you want to give it to somebody else. So if you do not know what minutes of the meeting are, how will you give it this task to somebody else? Okay. So this was about the chapter. Now, in case you have any questions, please ask me now. I'm waiting. I'm ready to take up any query that you have. Good Aditya, good attempt. I cannot provide you with that. Don't ask me for my Instagram ID. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you very much. Drishya, you can pick up any template of agenda. Pick up the tabular form, which is easier. So there's nothing to go wrong in that. Thank you, Shreya, for your kind words. If you guys have any doubts, please ask me now. You want me to explain something again, you can ask me now. There's still time. If everything is clear to you, just let me know. Okay, no doubts for them. For vocabulary, synonyms, and antonyms, idioms, all that, from where we should read? First, you should go through the study material, of course, and then you can take up the list from the Google. Simple. Find out, 100 words of synonym and antonyms or idioms commonly used. I'm sure you will get enough of, I mean, ample of material online to practice as well. I agree. Chapter 2 and 3 requires practice because those are two technical topics about vocabulary and grammar. So maybe study material and these papers are not enough. But for the rest, I think these things should be enough for you. As you have to focus on other subjects also, please divide your time wisely. Okay, no doubt, no doubt. Crystal clear, very good. You're welcome, Dimple. Please do well in exams. I watch the videos again in case there's any confusion, or everything is available on YouTube. So, and this subject is not very difficult, and always have this thing in mind. This is not about scoring just marks in the exam. It is also about learning something for future. This subject is actually going to help you in a very long run. So take it more seriously, and you have a time, you have an opportunity right now. Later on, when you become busy with other things in life, you don't have time to work over your language skills, your communication skills. You have time, and Institute is giving you that opportunity to, in case you know the language well and good, improve in that. If you do not, it's a good time to learn. I mean, you can always start to learn a new language. Swati, it's we'll miss you. We will, not are. Thank you. I'll miss you too. Okay. You have last 2 minutes. In case you have any doubts, please ask me now. No doubts, everything is clear. So I hope you guys do very well in your exams. All the very best. Great, guys. Good to hear know that everything is clear. Thank you for being good students. All right. So in case because there's no doubts, I'll take a leave now. All the very best for your exams. Do well and all the best for your future as well. Bye bye. Not sure, Tanmeet. I'm not a correct person to answer that question. Bye bye, everyone.